What's up? It's your boy, King Noodles. And this is the deck that I played at the Broken Arrow Regional on the 27th of May. It was 204 people. Let's get into it. I played Danger Dark World, and I played 3 Rainbow. On discard, he searches any 5 or higher, so other than himself. So he's normally searching either 2 Graph or a Silva. Everyone knows Graph. He is a pop when discarded. Silva special summons itself. I did not play the hand loop. I tested the hand loop. I didn't like it. I thought it was too inconsistent for what you were going for, and especially in this format. This isn't even the best. This isn't even like a good deck to play. But on such a short notice, I figured I'd pick up this deck and play it since we had pretty much everything for it. And I figured the hand loop wasn't worth it, but playing the 1 Silva was worth it. It's a secondary hand effect, never came up, but it could have because of the fusion graph. And for the smaller ones, we play 3 Ginta. It's a discard for your field spell. We play 3 Snow. On discard, it searches any Dark World card. So you can either grab Ginta, you can grab the field spell, but why would you when you have Ginta, when you can just get Ginta? Ginta also special summons himself when he's banished once per turn. Silva, not Silva, but Snow can also, not Silva, that's Sintra, my bad. Cinta can also, he can grab the field spell and he can special himself when banished. Snow can grab any Dark World card, not just monster. We played 1 Brow. In testing, 1 Brow was better than 2 Brow. I really thought about playing 2 Brow, but then the rank 4s were very important, so I decided to cut a Brow so I could go for more rank 4s. Speaking of going into rank 4s, I played 2 Beige. On discard, he special summons himself. He's very good for link material because you can bounce him back with either Rainbow or Graph. And since they're not activated effects, you just bounce him back to hand, special like Rainbow, bounce Rainbow, special Graph, discard him again, bring him back out. So it was always really good and always live. That's it for the Dark Worlds. On to Dangers. For the Dangers, I played 3 Bigfoot. Bigfoot was MVP. Whenever he's picked, I get a pop card. Always good. Played 2 Danger Nessie. If it is discarded, it gets to add any danger from deck to hand, which normally I would just get a Bigfoot unless I really needed a Mothman or Chupacabra. Speaking of Mothman, played 3 Mothman. On discard, he is a both players draw 1, discard 1. I had a point where my opponent didn't have any cards in hand, so they just had to discard a card. I only played 1 Chupacabra. If I would play this deck in the future, I would definitely bump this up to 2. Chupacabra is a fiend and he's a dark, so he has more synergies with the Dark Worlds than the rest of them do. And if he's discarded, he can bring back any danger from the grave in defense. So he's not good early in the combo, but later in the combo he's really good. And to round off the dangers, we play 1 Jackalope. Jackalope just specials himself. And for my dangers, 15 of their effects went off. 15 of them landed on the board, and 2 of them did not land, so they got sniped out of the hand.
It's not too bad for
main
play.
And one of them only got sniped because I had 2 cards in hand, and my opponent watched me shuffle my cards. But because he watched me shuffle, he picked Chupacabra, and then I beat him by bringing back a danger, Bigfoot. For non-Dangers or Dark Worlds, we played 2 Raiden. It's a Dark Fiend Kaiju, so it works with some of the synergies in the deck. You can Kaiju over something. You could probably pop it with a Graph or a Bigfoot. You can beat over it with a Graph or a Bigfoot. And then you could banish it for gates. So it was always live. I did side this out sometimes whenever I knew it just wasn't a good call to have it in the main. But he does have a lot of synergies in the deck. And I played 1 Salamander and 1 Blackwing Zephyros. In testing, Zephyros was really good because you can bounce back the Filled spell and then reactivate it. It's definitely better in the hand loop. But in this, it was really nice because he is a 4, just like Salamander. If you have a Salamander in beige, use Salamander, reveal beige, special summon Salamander, discard beige, beige effect special summon itself, and you can go to a rank 4 immediately. That's it for the monsters, heavy monster count. For spells, we run 3 gates. You really want to see all 3 of them if you're doing your big combo, because you can banish a Dark World, discard a card, discard a Fiend, banish a Fiend, discard a Fiend, draw a card. So if you start off with Ginta, you discard Ginta, get this, activate it, banish Ginta, discard whatever, draw a card. What you discarded, chainlink 1, and then Ginta chainlink 2, so Ginta specials himself. And then depending on what you discard, so if you discard Rainbow or Graph, you just bounce the Ginta back to hand, and then you essentially do it all over again. But the Ginta won't be able to special itself because that's a once per turn. And then on top of that, we played Archives and Accession. Accession is the fusion spell, and Archives is a discard, and then all Dark World monsters currently on the field gain 100 attack times the level of the discarded Dark World. Or if you discard a card to activate a Dark World card, such as Gate to the Dark World, Accession, or itself, you can discard a card, draw 2. And sometimes that really did come up, and I'm really thankful that I had it, and I could search it if I really needed to. This can also banish discard a Dark World to get itself from the grave. And then for just generic stuff, we played 3 Allure of Darkness, which is also why I wanted the Kaiju to be dark. So that way all of my Allures would be live. A lot of the times, especially during testing, I would Allure of Darkness into another Allure of Darkness. And that's not really what you want to see. Card Destruction, I don't think I ever seen this, not even in testing. It's really good in theory, but also it's really bad in theory because if they don't have a hand trap, you have a high possibility of making them draw into a different hand trap. I'd probably cut it. I know everyone mains it because it activates all your Dark World cards, but I just don't like it. I think I sided it out a lot. And then for the spice, I mained 2 Skill Drain.
2 Prime?
This carried me through some games. I wish I played more, in all honesty. I wish I played a 3rd. I could have took out the Card Destruction for another Skill Drain. And this is also one of the reasons why I didn't play the hand loop. A lot of my turn 1s were ending on Skill Drain Bagushka. That was the main goal. And then you just beat them down with big beat sticks, because they're not going to be able to get around a Rainbow. A Rainbow with Filled Spell is going to be, what does the Filled Spell give them? 3?
Yeah.
So Rainbow with Filled Spell is going to be 33. And then Graph is going to be at 3k. So not a lot of things are going to be able to beat that, because you're going to have Graph at 3k, you're going to have Rainbow at 33, you're going to have Bigfoot, he's still going to be a 3k beater. If you can get the fusion out, he's going to be a 3500. So not a lot of decks can really get around that. So just being able to have skill drain and a big beater kind of got me through a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have been able to beat. I did 2-0 cash with this, and game 1 was definitely because of skill drain. So let's go on to the extra. The extra, I didn't really use a whole lot of this. A lot of this was still used for when I used the hand loop combo. But on the day, I didn't use a lot of this extra deck. But it's still good in theory. And I decided to keep it the same as the hand loop and not to change it up. We have Muckraker from the Underworld. It's a good link too. You can discard a card to special one back, but then you're locked into Fiends for the whole turn. For the hand loop, it makes it to where you can still play if you get hand trapped. But for this build particularly, it's not too good, and you could go into it if you really wanted to. Maybe to put on some extra damage. Also for the hand loop, we played the Akashic Magician and the Security Dragon. These were originally designed to bounce back your Ceruli, but at the event, I could use them to bounce back a Shangri-Ira, just any real problem monster. I could use it to bounce a Pearly back. So they're really good in theory, and since you already play them for the hand loop build, I figured I'd keep them anyway, just for that little thing. In theory, they're really good. Played Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Cerberus. They're both really good. I would go into these two all the time. I went into Cerberus when my opponent Dibley locked me, and I wound up winning. Nightmare Unicorn. Unicorn's really good. I never got to use its effect to bounce my field spell. Not bounce it, but to spin it back into my deck. I always used it to spin back something my opponent had. For the 4s, I play an Appaloosa and a Skulldread. Appaloosa's Appaloosa. It's good if you can get out for material. Skulldread I never wound up making because you don't need to go as deep into your deck because you're not doing the hand loop. So I could play very conservatively on turn 1, or if I get drolled or shifted, because I wasn't trying to make these rank 4s, because I wasn't trying to dig through my deck. So I played a very safe build, I guess, for getting hand trapped. Bagushka, I made Bagushka almost all the time, but every time I did make it, it immediately got Kaiju'd. Round 1, I immediately had Bagushka plus like another random monster, and he immediately just went Santa Claus, and then I just kind of lost from there. We play Dugaris. I never made Dugaris. He was just in every Dark World list I've seen, so I thought I'd play him. He does have the draw 2, discard 1, but you skip your draw phase. So in theory, he could be an extender. I never went into him. Another guy I never went into, but is also super good in theory, is Gaga Cowboy, because you have some flex spot. A lot of the lists I've seen had 1 to 2 cards difference for their extra, and I seen one person side Cowboy, but I decided to main the Cowboy just in case time ever happened, because since this deck is focused on making a Bagusha turn 1 pretty much every time, it could make a Cowboy turn 1 every time. It came up in testing like once, and it did not come up in the event. I never went to time. But since you can make rank 4s like really easy, I thought it would be a really good, because you can't always make a Gain Trainer. Gain Trainer is 3 level 8s. You detach to draw a card. If it's a monster, you inflict 800. It's really good. You get to draw 3 cards essentially, and then you can burn if so be it. In this deck's mainly monster, so odds are you are going to be burning. I never made him. He's good in theory. Hope Harbinger. Hope Harbinger is really good. He can negate spells and then attach them to him. He never came up, but he is really good. He came up a lot during testing. And then for the last two are the fusion graphs, which can turn the effect of an opponent's card into I discard a card. So that triggers all of their secondary effects, such as Brow drawing 2 cards, Rainbow special summoning a monster to either field. It never came up. On to the extra, not the extra, the side. 2 Denko Sekka. In playtesting, it came up often because you don't really use your normal. At the event, I didn't play any back row decks to warrant siding it in. I played 2 Droll. I did side this in. I never seen it. 1 Called By because I didn't want to get Drolled. And then 3 Dragged Down to the Grave, which I never sided in. Ideally, this is to rip Droll or Nib out of their hand, but I never sided it in. I didn't want to side it in because, much like Called By, you have to open it, and I didn't really want to rely on having to open a card because it's either you open this or you brick because they're just going to hand trap you. So I really just did not want to side this in at all. I did play 3 Cosmic Cyclone. Because I didn't play any trap decks, I didn't feel the need to side this in. What I did side in are 2 Evenlies, depending on my matchups. Because I can just combo off main phase 2, and I can just make them have like 1 card on the field. I can do a combo, I can end on Bagushka or just a big beater, depending. And since they've wasted all their resources, odds are I'm going to win. I would probably have played a 3rd one if the team had it. It was really nice. MVP for the side deck was Deck Devastation Virus. I only sided this in for 2 games, and I opened them those 2 games, and they immediately won me the game on the spot. I activated this against MathMech, round 1, game 2, and he lost all but 2 cards in his hand. He had a MathMech spell and Nibiru, and then the next turn I just summoned 4 times and did 8k, and then the next time it was against Sprite, and my opponent just looked at me and said, "That's an auto win, isn't it?" And I go, "Well, I don't know. Is it a win? Like, are you like scooping?" And he was like, "Yeah, I scoop." And I was like, "All right." So it was an auto win in both scenarios essentially, because I won the next turn against the MathMech, and the Sprite immediately scooped. I probably would have played 3 of this as well. I probably would have bumped Evenly to 3, Deck Dev to 3. I definitely would have took out these 4. I probably would have just played an extra Denko and an extra Droll and kept it really basic. So it would have been 3 Droll, 3 Denko, 3 Cosmic, 3 Evenly, 3 Deck Dev. Or you could play any other virus. I was thinking of playing Epidemic Eradicator Virus to get rid of spells, but I don't know how much that would have helped me at this format, at this event. Not a lot of decks that I wouldn't have played Deck Dev against played spells. I didn't run into Pearly at all. But that's my deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Take it easy.
I just hit the button again.
Yeah.